We are live. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the 50th edition here of Respect the Craft podcast. This is a very special episode as we are joined by the owner, the boss man himself of Combat Zone Wrestling, DJ Hyde. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me on.
No, thank you again. Thank you for joining us here. A very special 50th edition here of Respect the Craft. Like I said earlier, I had to have someone very special to come on because, again, it's a big edition here. And before we do get into everything, we have a lot to talk about. We do want to commemorate also a life of someone that was very important, not only to the Combat Zone, but also to the wrestling community, Lyle C. Williams, who today is the anniversary of his sadly passing. Much love to his family and to those that were affected as well by this. So, DJ, let's get into it. Again, the first question I ask everyone that comes on, because the podcast is called Respect the Craft, when you hear that term, the craft, what does that mean for you?
I mean, the craft is the business. I mean, you got to respect what your craft is. You'll constantly hear me say we have to work on our craft, on what our passion is, and what we're trying to accomplish in the industry and trying to accomplish as performers as well as promoters and everything in between. Tons of artists here.
Gotcha. That's definitely true. So let's get into this again. For the backstory, for a lot of people, I can imagine have heard the story. You get into CZW as the owner in 2009, and it's officially announced in this event right here. We have the poster right here, Tangle Web 2. So just for a little brief of it, how does this come about for you now to become the owner and enter this regime of CZW?
Well, I have been wrestling for quite some time at that point. I had been a staple in CZW and believe that was the first year that we started running on my tournament of death on my mother's farm, and we had a building down there, and it fell through, and I was the only person to step up and do the work. And I remember vaguely John saying, "You're gonna make a good promoter someday," and then the conversation kind of went from that. I already had been doing like little side projects. We had the Maven Bentley Association and things along those lines that, there was Next and Stars of the Future and a whole bunch of other things that were, I based through the school or based through, trying to build the guys that I was working with and my team. And then it kind of just spun from there. I think at the time Zandig was dealing with a lot of personal issues and, from his family to just life. And I think we can all relate to that. And then from there, it literally was come to terms, and it took a little while. And I don't think it was something John wanted to do. I just thought that maybe he had to, and he felt like he was, passing it on to somebody who would see it through. And since 2009 I have it's been pretty much most of my life. There's only a few things that are more important, and my family, that's roughly about it. Past that, I mean, wrestling and CZW is pretty much all I do.
No, definitely. I can imagine, again, nothing would have prepared you for, especially now, going through a pandemic as well. Because sadly, going through it right now, how has that been trying to manage not only just the rebranding, but the reopening now of CZW with all sides of it, the school, with the dojo, with this new shows and all that? How has that been since, again, 2009 to now, having to do this whole just revamp of what CZW is?
I mean, I think a lot of people see what we're doing right now, and I think they feel that we've lost the essence of what we're doing and things along those lines, and I highly disagree. COVID financially and personally and professionally hurt us like so bad. We went from probably being one of the top, most well-known companies in the world. And as an independent within the wrestling scene, bubble, whatever you want to call it. And, we were basically at a relaunch. 2 years plus basically of not running events. I took a pretty solid stance on it. Didn't make a lot of sense to run events during COVID. Taking a lot of risks, a lot of unknowns, and to me, was the juice worth the squeeze? And at the time, it wasn't. We had a lot of other challenges that I could talk about and get into, but we would be here all day. But financially, we were crippled. We were crippled about a month in. I don't think a lot of fans know, but myself, Anthony Green, and Joe Gacy were at WXW for their 16 Carat show in Europe. And we had been there on a tour announcing CZW's return to Europe. And when we came home, our main venue was basically fire sold. And equipment was thrown out, and rings, and I thousands upon thousands of dollars. I lost, and no real quick fix to recover. And then through COVID, it was, okay, what's going on? How can we do this? What's the future? What's next? Then you start seeing, Joe Gacy's wrestling for the NXT title here, so,
Yeah.
and Anthony Green signed, and then you're dealing with, talent dropping left and right, working for the competition, getting signed, the rise of AEW, as well as other promotions, and the challenges just keep getting bigger and bigger, and there's not a whole lot you can do.
No.
And then, there's drama you're dealing with, and the wrestling scene, specifically on social media, is a unique place. The internet wrestling community is definitely a unique place, and let's be honest, a lot of people don't like me for a lot of different reasons, and I'm quite okay with that. And it's it's one of those things that they my office was with a lot of people, and we've brought them in, and the goal was to go back to what wrestling was really about in the beginning. That's why we've used the tagline Renaissance for Tradition. We're storytellers, and not just, hey, we're going to do this in like 2 shows, and not like you see sometimes on like television, something like that. It's trying to build long-term stories, develop characters, as well as put quality over quantity and production. We've built out a studio, which I will probably argue looks as good as anything on tape that you were going to find. We have another facility in Maryland, which the environment is great. Very happy that we have finally ventured into the state of Maryland. And, then it was a matter of putting together a crew and putting together not just talent, but everything. And we're still looking for people. Everything from marketing to social media. I believe, Ray, at one point we even talked to you about coming on board.
Yeah.
And the team is growing. We've got the production team finally settled, and there are opportunities. It's just we're gonna have to do the work to get there. So the goal is telling stories, and we're just now starting to get into the meat of things. I think we have a solid core and go from there. Then the other part of it is splitting the product. We're never going to get away from doing ultraviolence. CZW is synonymous with it. It's one of the things that brought it a lot of attention forever. So the goal was to bring back the ultraviolet underground. We've had a lot of bumps in the road with that. Right now, the plan is to bring Tournament of Death back to Delaware in fall. We are working with the Athletic Commission of the state of Delaware, which is going to make me lose the rest of my hair at some point. They are
Yeah.
very, very difficult, especially for deathmatch wrestling. And, we have been banned from Delaware for a while. And, we are now able to return, but it's also scheduling and finances. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And also losing a big part of my team. I'm wearing a lot of hats now. It's me doing things. It's I'm doing everything, and it's very, very difficult, and it's put a lot of things behind it. But as we continue to bring more people on board, more things get done, and the people that we do have, they are some of the best in the wrestling business.
Definitely. And it has shown, because again, from that little time of the revamp, it's been just everything's like been a domino effect. Like you said, you've gone to Maryland, you've expanded now with Studio Z, and it's just been rolling and rolling, and the shows have been getting to just insane lengths so far. And again, it's only been really give or take a year now since the revamp, correct?
Not even actually. Realistically, we started doing tapings, and that was more to look at talent. And we did a combines.
Yeah.
And we're going to do some more. We're constantly looking for talent. We're looking for volunteers to help. We need a crew. Not just a ring crew. Everything in Studio Z is pretty much almost at the point that it's turnkey. But there are things that we're trying to accomplish that. We don't want to be an indie. We don't want to look indie. We want to look as good as we possibly can. We want to, we're working on some things. One of the things about Studio Z is, let's face facts, it's a warehouse that we dressed up, which a lot of wrestling places are right now.
Yeah.
And it's hot. So, we are looking in how to fix that. To be honest, was most of my afternoon today. We are looking at, how to make this experience better. Our Maryland shows just keep growing and growing and growing. And I think we started there. The first show had like 40 people, and now we have a couple hundred. But the real focus is going to be on getting out the content. We are looking at moving our content to some new platforms that are literally in process to be built. CZW Studios is looking to be moved to CZW Event Pass is what it's going to end up being called.
Oh, okay.
And that's just taking some time to be built out, where there's going to be a lot of new features. We are we are testing some tech that, fans and Ray, I can't wait to show you some of the things that CZW along with Pancos Productions is doing. And it is stuff that has not been done in wrestling, and it's stuff that we have tested it works. Now we need to test on a large scale, because we need to make sure we try before we buy it. So it's kind of where it is. Again, we're running into challenges, and the whole landscape has changed for us. So it's something that we're working to get through.
Definitely. I have to ask you though, again, with those challenges that came, what was it that made you decide, hey, you know what, I still want to do this though? Because it has to be a question that came to your head again with everything going on, again with talent, with that situation that happened when you were coming back from WXW and all of that. Now again, looking back at it now, it's like, hey, it was worth it. But at the same time, when you're first going through it, how was that to be like, you know what? No, we still need to see this through.
Well, I think after after going over there and COVID first starting, I was in on a personal and professional standpoint, I was in a very bad downward spiral of where, there was all kinds of things going on, and, and you're just losing this and this and people talking and blah, 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 blah. And you're just, why am I doing this? Then I had a conversation with, my crew, as well as some students of mine who you get to watch on TV all the time. And, you know, a lot of people can say they're great at a lot of things, and I love to brag. I mean, people who know me personally know that I love saying, you know, things. But I said to them, I was like, if I'm not here to do this, somebody else will do it for you. You know, if I'm not here to teach you, to guide you, to do this, and these are some of these people, like, they don't need me. They got jobs, you know. And the answer was nobody. And then I took a little while and I said, well, everybody is doing what CZW does. There's nothing like the hardcore stuff isn't special. There's 9 million deathmatch tournaments. You know, everybody that gets a tax check can book the top guys. You know, I mean, we're in Jersey. I could throw a rock and hit a wrestling company. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, the politics and the people and this, and it was like, okay, I had to get my head straight, and I got my head straight, and I got some help with that. And I said, well, we're going to do this the right way and kind of be different, because the thing that I don't see is people making characters, telling stories, developing people. And yeah, we're going to give them ultra violence because that's what we do. But we also want that to be something unique and special. And we have a lot of ideas, but we don't have a lot of resources anymore. And that robbing Peter to pay Paul thing sucks. So it's one of those things where it's time to hustle, and it's time to build a team. And, you know, that takes time, and time is more valuable than money to me. So the people that are putting in the time are getting rewarded with whatever I can do for them. And, you know, and I think that's why some of the people who even I didn't think would be here are. And it's such a challenge. And my goals, I mean, I looked at 2022 as, okay, this is a building year. 2023, I want to kick off some stuff. And then things just started coming faster and faster and faster. So now the timetable is getting moved up. The goal is to have live shows back where they're live on iPay-per-views, on our new platform, on Fight, you know, as soon as July, towards the end of it. You know, we're looking at making Studio Z a BYOB. We looked into the legalities. We know we're good, but we also want to make it a better experience than, hey, come and keep a beer in your pocket. Like, so, you know, we have some ideas and things that we're working on before we do, you know, all that and create environment. Yes, we know it's hot. Our last event, you know, I had a whole bleacher go, it's just too hot. We can't be here, DJ. We did happen to pick to run on the hottest day of the year, but it is what it is. And with that, it really took it to a new level of, okay. I think the other biggest thing that really triggered in my mind when I came back was investment. I really got back to what I believed in. I needed the break. You know, I was relying on wrestling for a career for so many years. I mean, doing this for a couple decades now, and you know, when you're trying to pay your mortgage, some people don't sit where you sit. They don't understand decisions you make and why you make them sometimes. And, you know, I'm very blunt, and I don't understand how I make people feel. So if I've made somebody feel a certain way by something I've said, you know, it's not my intent. But that never crossed my mind. And then the refresh kind of sat in my head and gave me the mentality that I really wanted to do. And come back and still be CZW, but do it the right way. Do it the way that, you know, anybody can put on a feature show and do cool stuff. Like anybody can book PWG. It ain't hard. Here's some dope wrestlers. Have matches. They're gonna go out and kill it. That's great. And then building the resources. And, you know, it's taken time. And we're gonna get there, you know, and if, you know, we need the help. If you want to be part of the team, I say this all the time. I see something in everybody that I like. I need you to invest in me. We might be rolling pennies for gas, but when we're eating steak, you're going to be eating too. And, you know, we've been there before, so we know what it takes. And now, you know, Pancoast Productions and Jared know, what is it? He calls it Affiliate Studios. I mean, they're two of the best production companies just going. I mean, if you've been to 2300 Arena or you've CZW in the past, I mean, years ago, what Michael Pankos is all about. Affiliate Studios and Jared I mean, he basically is the right-hand man for Fight TV. He is one of the top guys. He is our production team in Maryland. We've cultivated some new production talent. We've brought some old people in. We do have some things to clean up and stuff we got to get out there to the public, but it's going to be there. And so that's a start. And, next is focusing on, we got to build teams. We got to, get some hands in here. We need marketing people. We finally have somebody doing social media somewhat full time. That is not me. And I should not be touching social media. They hate me. And also kind of going and not paying attention to the naysayers. It's, if somebody doesn't want to work for you or somebody doesn't want to do something, you move on. You got to live in the now. And that's something I'm trying to do instead of worrying about like, oh man, this next week. And it's just really challenging. So I rant. I apologize to anybody's listening to this, but I'm gonna try and stop myself. So
it's all good. Again, this is what we want from a podcast. We want the conversation. But I guess we kind of have to bring that up a little bit, the elephant in the room. And how is it that you're able to deal with that again? Because realistically, you've brought it up as well. Social media does have kind of a thing for you, be it through just you. They'll attack CZW for it. But how do you deal with that, seeing, again, what people have to say about you per se, just DJ Hyde on social media?
Well, one, as I said, I think I understand some things better now than I did in the past. One, I'm older, I'm wiser. I got some help and, learned that like maybe I don't understand how people feel or empathize with them. Any of the real negative stuff, I mean, it's funny because like, with the people who really know me, like, yeah, there's some stuff that I've said and done that's probably bad and people can bitch at me about, and I'll own that. I really will. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have said some dumb things and, made some dumb decisions at times because either I was emotional or whatever it was. But like 95% of that stuff is just nothing. I mean, a lot of these people, like, they've never met me. They don't know anything about me. They know what they have the telephone game. And by the time it gets to them, it's, it's where it is, and I mean, they don't know the cases and the things that really have happened. They hear this, or, I think somebody's my friend, or I think somebody is away, and then you realize really quickly they're not, and you kind of tell your friends things about how you really think sometimes or how you really feel. And instead of realizing that like you're the boss, you're on that pedestal of hey, they're workers, they're trying to con you just as much as they're trying to con fans, and and believing that they're whatever their character is, or they're selling to you as well as them. And that is a huge wake-up call for me. And I think that the people that are starting to get to know me and the people that are working here, I mean, because there are people working here. I mean, if the internet and all that stuff was true, we have Trisha Dora working here. We have Fred Yehi working here. We have JD Drake working here. Rich Swan and Lindsay Dorado and all these other people, especially social media people. Rich really isn't, but I have the Shimmer World Champion. Okay, is Zoe Sky, and she works here. And if there was really some of the issues with some of those things that are me, don't get me wrong. I sold content. I licensed it. That's on them. Okay. Yeah. They named it whatever they want. I have no control over that. And people think I do. No, I signed the contract. That's on me. Maybe I should have, but no offense. I like paying the rent, and the rent is sometimes you got to do what you got to do to pay the rent. And this studio is not cheap. Trust me on that. but it's come and check it out. I mean, if you don't like me, you don't have to come for me. Come for the talent. Come for the experience. Come because you love professional wrestling. Come because you just want to have a good time with your friends and have a couple of drinks. I don't know what it is, but give it a chance if that's what you want to do. If you don't, just be honest. And like I said, like I'm not going to issue any apologies to people or anything like that. I'm going to say, hey man, I have messed up in the past. I have made some mistakes. I'm aware of that. I've probably said some dumb things, probably even done some dumb things. 95% of what's out there is just people running amok, making jokes, and then it gets taken seriously. If you said that, I don't know, I robbed your house and threw your grandmother on the ground and I don't know, threw a meatball at her or something, I have no clue. And it would be on the internet in 5 minutes and I would be, where that's just how it is. And also people don't listen, where I'll say, hey, this, and then they hear just the little teeny bit of that mattered, not the part that followed it, that actually put it into context. So, and I understand because I do that too. So,
and I think that's been the biggest thing. And again, we've had our conversation in the past, and I'll say it here on the podcast. I will say a lot of things you have said in the past, it makes sense, especially in terms business-wise. I still call you today, and I'll say it here, one of the smartest people I've heard in this business when it comes to the business. Because there's a lot, again, they'll put out the negative stuff and they'll put stuff out of context, but no one gives you credit for a lot of the, again, backstage and logistical stuff and a lot of the stuff that, again, is probably what's making haters go gray.
I think the thing with it, though, is I think that I'm so very transparent. I'm very upfront. Like when the thought crosses my mind, I'm going to tell you how I feel. The problem is I need to present it in a way that really connects with you. Not in like, this, what crosses my mind. You have to present stuff to people that they relate to and that doesn't offend them. Again, I said it earlier in this conversation, and probably one of the bigger things that I have learned is you have to understand nowadays how you make people feel. It's not about what your intent is. Even when I talk, I don't intend to harm anybody. I don't intend to offend anybody. I just, hey, I'm the bad guy. I'm trying to do this, or hey, this is how I feel. This is what I think. It's not that I'm wrong. It's just that I made this person feel a way, or they were, felt aggressive. We talked about the wrestling school tonight. Deshaun Pratt's one of the trainers. He has an amazing reputation, and the things that we were brought up on, well, specifically me and even him, because he's one of my students too. You can't do that stuff anymore. You can't treat people that way. You can't berate them. You can't be like, you're doing 1,000 squat. You cannot get away with that, because if they feel a certain way nowadays, it's a problem, and it's one of those things where, it's the entertainment business and the sports business combined. And when you're in entertainment, you have an image and you have to look a certain way. We're trying to put on a certain character and a product. There's, and a lot of people, we're not in that generation anymore. And, the world has changed, and you have to evolve and adapt.
Definitely. And I feel like that's one of the hardest things, especially for the business that we're in, because it is based on a lot of traditions that are no longer, as you could say, not allowed anymore, sadly. And it's that growing of it all. Because again, we can look back at CZW being now close to 23 years, and there's a lot of things you now have to change to make sure you're with the times now as well.
Well, the funny thing is I've been through a lot of the changes. I've been through a lot of the generations of what's going on. And I mean, a lot of other people have, and I have a lot of mentors and people that have guided me, and they all have different opinions. And at one point, deathmatch wrestling was renegade, and at one point, what I would call the super indie style was popular, and then it became strong style and technical wrestling, and then it was like all the high flyers and spotty guys and all this stuff. And it's one of those things that you just have to look at it. It's the wheel that goes round and round, and you never know what's going to happen next. And the business constantly changes, and it's right now I'm looking at the landscape and I have my own opinions, and I'm just like, this is nuts. But then again, we have more companies on TV. There are more guys getting work. There are more promotions than ever, but I don't see any of them making money. And again, at the end of the day, for me, for years, I was that way because, well, I have a mortgage. I have a car payment. I pay. Nobody understands, like, one of the things that we do through our Dojo Wars program here at school, they have to understand what it takes and costs to put on a show. You don't realize, like, you're sitting here thinking, well, Vince McMahon's a millionaire. Do you know how much it costs to rent one of those buildings for a day? They talk about Tony Khan and he's a billionaire. Tony Khan AEW hasn't made $1 yet. They've been losing money. Okay. They have. That's why they're making some of the decisions they have to make now, and doing some of the things that they're trying to gain attention. And, that's what it is. So it's a very challenging thing. And when the bill comes due to you and you are the person responsible, it changes a lot of your thinking really quickly.
Oh yeah, we got Anthony Cole agreeing with you there, owner of BCW. Again, it's a lot of, again, those logistics that, again, I can imagine the normal fan doesn't think about. They're thinking about, oh, I want to see this, but they're not thinking, how do we get from A to Z?
I'll give you an example of something that I'll break it down and just give people a little bit of knowledge. So say you want to run a show in the 2300 arena, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's in Philadelphia, which is also important. Okay. So just to run the show, before you pay the rent, by the way, you're not walking in there for less than $5 to $7 grand. And that does not include production. Okay. So that does not include all the screens and the lights and all the cool stuff. That's just the rent on the building. Okay. You still have to have a license through the state of Pennsylvania, a doctor through the state of Pennsylvania, and insurance. That is required by the state. Now, might I mind you, I want you to think about how much insuring a wrestling show costs. Now, I know, okay, and it ain't cheap. Now, you're talking, if you walk in there just on, we'll say it's $5,000 to run there. And honestly with you, it's a lot more.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't get any concessions or anything like that. Yes, you get to sell your own merch, but they also do your ticketing. Okay. And it is a quality place. It is the arena. It is one of the best places to run in the area. TV shot there all the time. They have everything you need. But at $20 a ticket, which is an average ticket price right now, okay, you need 250 people just to pay the rent. And you're going to need about 310, 320. And that's if you know people and get the right price to pay for everything. That's before you book one talent, one flight, which if you're looking at gas, flights are insane right now, as well as people's transportation. Nothing's getting easier. And everything from the price of breaking a chair. Chairs have gone up $3 a piece, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is when you're trying to get things add up. And you start looking at those things and you start going, well, how do we recover that? Then you got to figure you've probably got an 8-match card. Then you got to pay production people. Okay, if you sell the video content somewhere, you're not getting everything. People need to start thinking about that. How do you promote? I mean, do you want to know what the cost of flyers are? I mean, do you want posters? Look into a cost of like a television commercial. Yeah, a graphics person, let alone somebody who can spell correctly. And that's not me. Okay. Because I don't, I am very dyslexic and mess stuff up all the time, and you have to look at it in that way of a business. So you're talking about like, you're probably going to need 350 people to walk in the building before you pay a talent. And if you're going to run in that building, man, you better have a good show. So you're going to need some talent on that show, and they're not coming in for free, and you got to get them here. So yeah, you're going to need a house, and the amount of work that you're going to have to do and budget that you're going to have to spend to get a reward on that is a lot. And when it's your livelihood, it does affect you in a lot of ways. It makes you change your decision making so much. It's one of the things I like now. Now I'm not relying on that as my livelihood. I am doing well, and it allows me to do the things that I want to do and build people. And instead of going, even with the school, if you're investable, we'll train you. That's just how I look at it nowadays. I don't care if you're a commentator or whatever you are. If you are investable, we will invest our time, not just me, all of my trainers, the rep, Deshaun Pratt, Gabby Gilbert, all the people who come in and guest train for us. We will invest time and hopefully make you into something. And that's kind of the, one of the goals with it. But I mean, these guys have to understand, just to put on your little rinky dink, you want to run at the buildings that everybody runs in, and we know what they are. Okay. Think about the cost structure. Think about what a guy get, who's drawing, who is a draw, what will draw, and think about what an average attendance is. It's very, very difficult and very, very time consuming and costly.
Definitely. So I have to ask, with all that being said now, how do you decide to now go into another market? Because that had to be a decision to now go into the market of, now you're going to Hyde DeGrasse. You're going all the way to Maryland. How was that decision made to be like, well, let's try it out over here now and see if we're okay?
Also, I believed, we're in New Jersey. One of the things we're struggling with here at the studio, obviously, is I could throw a rock and hit a wrestling company. I mean, there are buildings within like 20 minutes of here where there's 5-6 shows in a weekend, and it's like the same guys, and, then they sprinkle in this and that, and, and everybody kind of has their niche. I mean, sometimes there's shows that might be within an hour. I mean, they're running 4 shows a weekend in one building. It's crazy. And people only have so much money and time that they want to spend doing that. So it's constantly fighting for competition, not just with wrestling, but you have things like football and, anything else. And we're running on Sundays right now, specifically targeted matinee Sunday shows. And we're probably going to do some Fridays and a couple other things too, but specifically done, to work with people's schedules. And now people are running Sundays, and there's back-to-back shows. There's one at 1, there's one at 4, and it's a little crazy. And in Maryland, in the whole state, which is bigger than New Jersey, might I mind you, there's like 6 companies, and there's only one real big company. And I have relationships with most of them. So when we came down there, it was about having the right relationship with the building, which the building is also owned by Affiliate Studios. And to come down there was a process. It was this. And now, again, when it comes into the dealing with the finances and all that, let me tell you something. I know there's a couple people here from New York, but you will love the New York State Athletic Commission. Because if you get to deal with the Maryland State Athletic Commission, they are tough. Every wrestler needs a license. Every wrestler needs a license, let alone the promotion. And by the way, you pay for them. Physicals, the whole 9, COVID this, and I mean, they do it all.
Yeah.
And they are on point. And changes are not something they allow very often. And I mean, and there's no hardcore deathmatch stuff. If somebody bleeds, the show stops. I mean, even if it's like, you know, somebody gets punched in the mouth and they're gushing, show stops. Call it a day. They have a lot of strict rules, and it was a challenge, but I felt there was a good product. I love the building. I love the team. As I said, it started with 40 people. And again, to me, the content in the tape was way more valuable. I feel people are going to end up, I feel live events are going to slow. People, we can talk on our cell phones, and see each other. We can do podcasts like this, let alone I can hit a button and pull up some app that I can watch any wrestling product from around the world that I want. And for cheaper than a ticket price is, let alone what it's going to cost me to drive there nowadays. And I feel that that's the way that's going to be. And I love the look of it. And it's very easy working with that team. We have our main equipment is down there, and we're developing more of it up here. And we just keep building and building and building and building. It's just taking time. And now we've got it to, where it's respectable, where the shows are doing well.
Yeah.
And I think it's now, and in the summer, we're doing some, like, our next event is actually outside, because the people thank you for the cheap plug. I appreciate it. The people who run this wedding venue that is literally right next door to the theater, and it's right on the river. It is gorgeous, let me tell you. Boats are going to be pulling up. It's going to be crazy. But are allowing us to do an event there. And we're also looking at something. Havre de Grace does something called First Friday, which is a big festival with food trucks and booze and, cupcakes and all kinds of crazy stuff down there, with vendors and this and this. So we're looking at possibly being part of that. And that's every first Friday of the month from now till October. We will be there tomorrow. And, we're kind of there with our own little booth, but we're looking at possibly doing a show right out in front of the theater, right in the street, because they shut the street down.
Yeah.
So we've been talking to the city about that, and there's a lot of good opportunity down there and to grow something good. And same thing that I feel here. I feel there's a lot of good opportunity with the studio. My next big project is we're a Philadelphia company. We need to get back in Philadelphia some way. And that's going to be about finding the right place. And then from there, we got to come back to the big city. And it's been a while since we've been in New York, but that's on the agenda too. And something that I know that we can get some good support on, but it's about finding the right place with the right things, with the right people. And the people matter more than anything.
Gotcha. So there you go. Again, I want to know that because I can imagine with all this breakdown here, there is a lot that again goes into it, the logistics of it all. But let's talk a little bit about that. Again, that event happening this Sunday. I have a few of the flyers here, so hopefully, even announced just a little while ago before we started going live here. Aaron Ash is in action. I can imagine you've gotten to see his growth, especially at the dojo, and see what he's become. How is that for you, seeing again the specimen of what Aaron Ash has been for CZW?
If there's anybody that wants to doubt Aaron, this is a man who puts in the work. He's a scary man, let me tell you. He's benching like 460 now. I mean, he literally can deadlift your car. He's that strong. If you want to question what kind of talent he is, go find our event, Proving Grounds, with him and Drake on CZW Studios. I swear to you, he is a star in the making. And he is going to be one of the best big men you have seen in a long time. I mean, and not only is he just a big power guy, he is athletic. He can do a lot of things that you would not expect a guy. We joke about him here at the dojo and call him Big Luch a lot because he does things that a guy that's 300 plus pounds, should not be doing. I mean, he was doing moonsaults and stuff today, like just to do them. And I was like, well, if you land on somebody with that, that could be bad. And Aaron literally, just killed it. And he's a guy that it's just going to take time. And once the eyes start coming on him and seeing what he is, you're going to start seeing his names talked about like a JD Drake and, Keith Lee's and people like that, because he's definitely in that genre of people.
No, definitely. He's someone I've gotten to see a few times in person, and every time it's just like he's gotten better and better. And even someone I've talked to with Monta Mac, like this Arenage has even one of the craziest lariats I've seen. And I can imagine you're watching that because you were the lariat god.
Well, he had to learn that somewhere. I mean, his lariat is it's wicked, but he also, I mean, some of the moves that he does, I mean, he does an orange crush bomb. I mean, he can power bomb anything. It's like stuff that's just not doable. I know me and him, I've turned him on to the 4 pillars of wrestling, and he's very much enamored with that. And let me tell you something, that man hits like a truck. I mean, when he hits you, he hits you. So again, I'm just looking at what the future is. Again, a lot of the talent it might not be what you think they are now. I know who they're going to be in 3 years. There are guys that may not be with us. Example of that is someone like Jordan Oliver. I told Jordan Oliver years ago, I was like, you're going to be running this business someday. You're going to be the guy. And he slowly is becoming that guy, because Jordan is awesome. All 4 of the young, dumb, and broke guys are going to blow up. Jordan just happened to have the head start. And, man, you're seeing Jordan's name everywhere. And he is becoming that guy, and I'm so proud of him.
Definitely. No, they definitely all have. And again, someone that I feel like even in a sense took Jordan's spot that was here at CZW has been another member of Young, Dumb, and Broken, Griff. He's kind of on his own, has become this big staple now with CZW. And again, he has his matchup at Onslaught against Action Andretti right there.
I mean, Action is definitely one of those guys that you want to watch too. Shane Shamrock Cup winner. Yep. He's following in the footsteps of a lot of guys like a Leo Rush, a Rich Swann, and Shane Strickland. I mean, just watch this guy. I mean, watch his match with Rich Swann in CZW. Literally, they broke the top rope and then win another 15 minutes, and it was nuts. Yeah. And it was also the first match on the show, so you'll probably see me out there very angry at some point trying to fix a rope. I mean, Griffin has proven and delivered time after time after time. Fred Yehi, Rich Swann, JD Drake. I mean, and he likes to throw around the word top guy. He's going to be a top guy. I mean, he's somebody that I believe a lot in. I see a lot of potential in him. The person I compare him to a lot, I should probably not say, but he's another former CZW guy who likes to come out to a song that's called Boom and says Bebe a lot. I mean, he's got that drive too. If you've looked at his progression also since COVID started and stopped, he's done the work in the gym. He's constantly on his game. He's still here at the studio training every week. I mean, he was here tonight, and he's one of those guys who's also made it his personal mission to push others. He's firing them up. If somebody's struggling, he's picking them up. And he's going to be one of the leaders of not just CZW, but of the wrestling industry in the next few years. And he is going to rise up, and people are going to take notice of this kid really quick, because it doesn't matter who he wrestles. It's quality, and he just delivers every single time.
No, definitely. And I can imagine that's something great for you to see, to have seen that rise of him and see, again, from the Dojo Wars to now being on these cards and, again, showcasing every single time.
Well, again, a lot of people with the dojo, I mean, if you look at the people that have come out of Dojo Wars, I mean, guys that have been training here, I mean, let's just talk about the guy who made news last night is MJF. I mean, Max is, go back and find Pete Lightning and who's Blazer and the guys, that would be here every week, not just for the Dojo Wars, they would be here training every week, as well as still working at their home schools. And, and there's guys now that are doing that, and it's just, You know, we have guys traveling from Virginia, from New York, from all over, and Pittsburgh that are here once a week, maybe every 2 weeks, something like that, just to train. And now Dojo Wars is back, so you're going to start seeing that progress. But the amount of people, MJF, the Janellas, the Penelope Fords, I mean, it's ridiculous if you think about it, how many people have gone through Dojo Wars that have gone on to become big stars, and especially at a young age.
No, definitely a guy I can even show right here was currently in Japan right now. He's doing
Oh,
the best of the Super Juniors. He was another
he's
one.
he's not the only one that's there that's from us. That guy Wheeler Yuta's from here
Yep.
too. So you know, and they're both over there, and I'm so proud of both of them. I mean, I can remember them being super young and just like, yeah, man, that's what I want to do someday. And I'm like, look, you just calm down. It's building blocks, and now they're over there, and I mean, and they're just killing it, and you know, and they're both on television with their respective companies, and just making that name, and they're still so young and so much that they can go through.
Definitely. Again, it's taking those opportunities. So let's talk a little bit about that. The combine you guys had. Again, you're scouting talent with the immense roster you're getting. How was that for you to see the talent that is willing to again make that trip and make those drives to be like, I want an opportunity with the combat zone?
Again, as I said, I'm trying to build a team. I'm not one of these guys that I'm not going to charge somebody for a tryout.
No.
I'm actually looking for talent. Men, women, refs, commentators, you know, and we're looking. The one thing that is constant about anything in wrestling, anything in business in general, is change. I have lost more. I mean, let's face facts. Technically, the CZW World Champion is still Joe Casey. Okay, because we have not brought the belts back. We are making new belts, and they are still in process of being made. But everybody, you can lose at any time, and you got to be ready. And what's great is we found a lot of great talents. We've also found a lot of guys that we're given opportunity to there, and that are, you know, going to grow into something. I mean, you don't start being the big star. You know, I mean, John Moxley used to have pink hair. You know, I mean, he used to have a mohawk. He did. You don't believe me? Go back and watch Heat. All right, you will find him. You know what I'm saying? You'll find him, Masada, a whole bunch of guys that, you know, you're not gonna believe are the superstars that you see today. Go back and watch Kenny Omega when he was in WWE, or
No.
you know, some of the early renditions of guys that they were. You have to go through some of those growing pains and some of those changes. And what's great is that's also where it's like, if I see something I like, I give them an opportunity to come put in the work. If you can't take the opportunity, it's about communication. I mean, I get it. There's guys that they live far away. All right. But there are guys that stay on me. I'm going to give you a couple examples of that. And one of them is somebody who is frequently in this area, and that's Rob Martyr. I believe in that kid. I believe Rob Martyr is going to be a star in the wrestling scene at some point. He's hungry. He wants it. He lives in Florida, you know, and Rob is a guy that can really, really do something, who's constantly reaching out, even if it's like, here's my new schedule. Hey, I did this match. What do you think? The next is a group that's down there with him that are message me almost on a daily basis, and that's Culture Inc. They want to be here. You know, a lot of things with a lot of guys, again, I would have Culture Inc. on every single show I could. They just live in Florida. And flights to Florida are getting harder and harder to pay for. But same thing with Martyr. And man, I look at Culture Inc. and I just see what they can be. And there's something there. They're going to be big stars in the independent scene. It's just a matter of time for them to break out, you know. And once they do, man, people are going to be talking about them, you know, like, oh, who was sleeping on these guys? Yeah, I don't want to sleep on guys no more. I want to get them in here. So we're trying to work out how to get them here and how to find them and give them opportunities. There's some other guys that are in other areas, but those guys, I can tell you, they message me all the time. They stay fresh in front of me, and which is good. because I've been dropped on my head a lot. And, don't take cinder blocks either. It's a bad thing. You have to understand that that's a good way. Just because somebody says no or not now doesn't mean you won't get that opportunity. It just might mean that we don't have the room or the budget or whatever it is, but you got to work for it. And if you don't work for it, if you don't show, hey, I want to be here, hey, I want to prove to you, hey, I want the opportunity, what is your value? You want me to invest in you? I need you to invest in me so that I can help get you where you need to be, and you can help me get the company where it needs to be.
There you go. And a big reason I was bringing that up as well, because a person that, again, showed up and they showed out their talent at the Combine was a part of this matchup right here. Fabu Andre.
That's correct.
Like, you got Fabu, this match. Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay. Fabu is definitely somebody who was at the Combine one of the shining stars. And there's another gentleman who I'm sure you're going to show me. Actually, two of them that are on the next event that came right out of the Combine where I've seen them. And Fabu, he's trained by, Matt Seidel and a lot. He's done AEW. He has a very unique character. He is a butterfly. So that is definitely unique.
Yeah.
And there's just something to him. He's a power lifter in real life. And man, he wants it. He wants to be here. He wants to go out and prove it. He asks me all the time, and he's the guy that, there's a veteran here. There's somebody who's here. He's asking the questions. And he is just the kind of guy you want on your team. He has impressed me not just because of who he is and his in-the-ring skills, but he has impressed me by the way he carries himself. And I think he's a young guy still trying to figure some things out as a wrestler. And a lot of guys, early in their careers are doing that. So I can't wait that, when that butterfly, comes out and, we finally see what happens, what he's going to be, because I think it's going to be something really special.
No, definitely. And again, that's what those opportunities are about. Two more that, again, they showed out as well was, and again, he likes to say hi a lot. And he's facing off here against one of, again, the team's synonymous with CZW. We're also going to touch on that. But you have Jaden Vallow and Mike Mistretta taking on the Rep this Sunday. And again, it's taking that opportunity and now facing off against one of, if not the best teams in CZW. With the Rep right there.
I would say the Rep are one of the best teams.
Period.
Yeah, period. The tag scene right now outside of like major television companies is very bare.
Yeah.
And one of the things I do with the Rep is I'm trying to challenge them because they are just so good. They're two of the trainers here at the school. They're just amazing. And they know this business very, very well. And I remember Mr. Vallow when he was like 15 years old. And Mike Mistretta also, who is another young guy. I think a lot of people think Mike's a lot older than he is. These are two guys out of New York who, as I said, they're making the drives. They're showing up here. They come out of the NYWC school. I believe they both were the recent NYWC champions.
Yep.
And we're doing some stuff with them, and they're getting an opportunity. And now they're getting an opportunity to face what I consider one of the best tag teams in wrestling. And Jaden's been a lot of places. You've probably seen him do a lot of AEW stuff lately, whether he's on Dark or whether he's, I don't know, been a security guard for Warlow 100 times. This fiery young Hyde, I'm your little brother kid, he wants it. These are also two guys who, as well as some others that you haven't seen yet, who do the drive down here, who come here once a week, and put it in and make sure. They're coming from Long Island. It's probably about a 2.5 hour drive one way. And I don't even remember how much the bridge toll is now, but I know it's ridiculous. Let alone the gas. And they do it. And they act so professional, and for guys that age, it's insane. So they are showing me we want it, we want to be invested in, and I'm going to put a lot into them.
Oh, there you go. And again, putting them against again one of the best teams. I have to ask you, you seeing the growth of the rep as well. How has that been? Seeing from them being the Dub Boys, Dub Security. I had to look up an older photo here. Like they've grown with CZW, and now look at it, they are also part of the dojo system now, being trainers at CZW. Like they've matured with the company.
Well, they've matured as people. I mean, the Dub Boys and the early stuff was, a play on who they really were. I mean, if you know the rep, they're fun. I mean, they're a good time, and they went from being boys to men, and now they're men, and now they take things very personally. One of the reasons they came to me and said, "No, we want this. We want to train people. We need this," and basically they felt that they had to take it upon themselves to prepare the future, which I fully trust them. And they're doing a really great job of being not just coaches, but being mentors to some of these guys. And that is a huge, huge thing. So I know I said I'm proud of a lot of guys, but these guys have been with me since day one, and they are ride or die. And and they're going to be guys that they're going to go out there and, as they say, they're going to put respect on our name. They say that a lot around here. And they're going to be those guys that will put the respect on their name.
No, definitely. Again, they've blood, sweat, and tears of for the black and gold brand, and it's always been great to see um, having guys that are loyal and be a putting the brand on their back. You always want that, especially for a company like this. So that's great. Let's talk about another man that he's more newer to the company now in the recent years, but now has definitely tried to make his name a namestay with CZW, and that's been Rayo. He came on my podcast and he talked a lot about wanting to be one of the faces with CZW, wanting to be. He's manifested a lot lately, and on Sunday he's facing against a guy that's held championships everywhere. You've put him here with a test with Rich Swann. What are your thoughts on Ryo and him again? Like he's been very vocal. He likes to talk a lot.
So Ryu is somebody who I've watched grow over the last few years. He also is one of those guys that does these drives to come here and brings a lot of people with him, and constantly is picking brains, constantly is doing the work and the extra work. I don't have to ask him, "Hey man, I need a promo." I'll have a promo before I have to ask him. He's that guy. He is a promoter's dream. Now, as far as growth, I think a lot of people go back and maybe you don't remember him from our Dojo Award system, but he was the bad boy too. And he used to come out chanting sex, 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 and did this elongated program with Joey Janela at our dojo system. And, watching his growth from being a soccer player into the man he is now, he's done some AEW. He's wrestled, guys that you would not believe. He's actually in Puerto Rico as we are speaking, wrestling the next day, Friday and Saturday. He's traveling the world. He's had a WWE tryout. It's one of those things that in a very short period of time, the amount of work that he's put in, his body. He used to look like a child, who was probably like 13, and now he looks like a man. He carries himself in a way that, he shows up, he's well prepared, he's dressed well, he's, very into his culture, he's from Peru, and, it's, one of the things like his mask isn't like he wears a mask, he doesn't wear it to wrestle, but he wears it to the ring because it means something to him and his family and his background. but he's also a warrior, which is why you see the face and body paint and things. I mean, you may have seen him in Ring of Honor, and I mean, he's been making his name at a lot of places, and I think he feels like he's found a home here, and it's time to put a place on his back. And it's not just him. There's people that he's brought here that are, developing and becoming stars and just impressive. I mean, Rayu is definitely all over. He's willing to step up and help in any way he can. And again, he's a promoter's dream.
Hey, that's one of the best things. Again, that's someone that's willing to want to be that guy to hold the company down and be able to carry it on his back. And again, be that person that wants to showcase the company as well. It isn't just for him. He is wanting to showcase what CZW is, especially with the revamp of the Renaissance of tradition here.
Well, he has shown the investment side. He understands that I'm investing in them and they're investing in me. And, it's opened a lot of doors for him. And, I think he's grateful for that and he's taking advantage of it. And again, he's a guy that in 2-3 years, I can't wait to see what he's going to do. I mean, he's really he stepped his game up. He started studying lucha a lot, and he's getting more into that. Okay, this is the background. This is where I come from, and it's one of those things. He always has ideas to bring to the table, always, and he's respectful about it. He's not one of those guys that's like a problem and just a headache that a lot of promoters have to deal with. He's amazing, and I can't wait to see what he is really going to become.
Oh, definitely. He was a pleasure. Again, cheap plug there. When I had him on the podcast, guys, if you're watching, you can check that out as well after this. And even talking about, he's had the opportunities to face even Lucha Libre legends like Cinta de Oro and just pick his mind, and even Alberto El Patron, and get that mindset of like, oh, this is how they did it, and now this can transfer into what I'm doing and help my own presentation as well.
He's learned how to approach a lot of those people. He constantly asks for feedback, or, hey, how would you do this? Hey, I'm wrestling this guy on, next week or next month or whatever. What should I be doing? He's got to go out there with a guy like Fred Yehi, who's also come into his own. And Fred, I will say, is probably one of the best wrestlers on the planet right now. Mm-hmm. And, that learning experience and having, that opportunity is a big deal for somebody that is where he is.
Definitely. Let's keep it going there, because also perfect transition. You mentioned Fred, who is currently, if I'm not mistaken, was just announced today, #1 in those CZW rankings as well. And he's looking to continue that this Sunday as he's facing someone that's, again, a little newer to CZW in Jared Diaz, one of the Bodega boys, bringing his Arizona everywhere he goes. And he's bringing it this Sunday to Maryland. And he's looking to, again, stop what Fred Yehi has been doing. Fred has been coming into CZW and has been, again, very hard for a while, because it's been hard-fought battles, being able to walk out victorious and keep his stance in CZW.
Well, a couple of things about Mr. Diaz. I mean, this is a guy who I can't tell you how much talent I see in him. He was also a combine guy. And man, he's not really doing the bodega thing here, though.
Okay.
But we have a different Jared Diaz here, but man, he is just exciting. And I mean, if I have to hear he looks like a model one more time, I'm gonna lose my mind, because everybody says, "Oh, he looks like a model," and I'm just like, it's one of those things. Like, Jared Diaz is class act guy. He is a guy that, again, I probably said this before, he's a guy that I want this to be his home. I want to see him here for years to come, and this was a match that he personally asked me for. He said, Fred Yehi is on my list. I said, what does that mean? He's like, I have a list of guys I have to wrestle. And I was like, well, realize that Fred's going to kick your ass. And Fred's going to. And I look at Fred. Fred's one of those guys I can't believe places aren't capitalizing on. And I mean, he's one of the best wrestlers I've seen. He's knows it all. I've been in the ring with him a few times. He's willing to help out. I mean, he's done a seminar here. And again, we have guys like him and Lindsay and JD and Rich, and they're doing seminars for us for free with our group. We're investing in our group. It's not something like, oh, $50 or whatever it is. We want our talents to be invested, so that they can understand, hey, this is what it is. These guys have walked the path, and most of these guys started here. So they're where you are. Now they're back here, and they're going to help you, and they're going to help us, and we're going to get there. And man, Fred is the ace, man. Every company has their guy. I could sit here. Especially since Fred's been here, there's a list of matches. Like, just watch him and Griffin.
I was going to say that saga has been insane to see them.
They are just. It's just amazing, and he just match after match after match after match after match, and so good, so believable, so brutal, and he is just savage, and I wish Jared well, and I hope he can pull it out, but he's got a big task there with Fred, and I know from personal experience.
Well, hopefully Jared's doing his mat training and studying some very technical style, because that's going to be a hard hitting.
He's another one, comes down from Connecticut, man. And Connecticut's a drive, let me tell you, but he puts in the work. He's constantly messaging or calling. Me and him talk a lot. So again, he's a guy that, I talk about this a lot, and I probably said this a lot in this interview. There is at least 10 guys that are here, maybe more, that in 2 to 3 years, they're going to be the guy. You're going to see them everywhere, and you're slowly starting to see some of them now, but you're going to be talking about them like you talk about, the Rich Swans and the Fred Yehis and all these guys. You're going to be talking about them like, oh man, yeah, this guy, I remember he's back in CZW. Like, these guys are going to be something. It's just a matter of them doing the work and getting the right opportunities and falling into the right places. And once somebody does, I'm going to invest in them. I would wisely tell other people to do the same.
Oh, definitely. I feel like that's been something, especially with the talent that's come out of of CZW and that have stepped through CZW. You see it. And again, it's been proven. A lot of these talents have gone on to, again, now on our TV screens almost every week. There's talent there's not someone, at least on one episode of what's happening, either on a Monday, a Wednesday, a Friday, any day of the week. That's
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and sometimes Sundays.
Yeah.
And sometimes Saturdays.
Especially this weekend. Again, there's pay-per-view both days, and there's talent that's gone through CZW.
They come here, and I apologize. I got dark, everybody, but I'm at the dojo and looking at the time and my phone dying. I'm going to have to charge it in the car. But again, a lot of these guys, they need it. They come through here. You look at a guy look at John Moxley as an example. John came through here and he needed CZW. CZW molded him. It's another guy you see sitting there with him, Sammy. These are two guys that I would say are like, my little brothers, but they needed their time here to get where they are and where they've been. And, I've been fortunate enough to be all around the world with both of them. And they're both just amazing talents. And John is probably, if not the top guy, he's one of the top guys in this industry.
Yep.
And, they're guys that they developed here. They moved out here just to get a sniff at CZW, just to get a booking, just to, they left Ohio and couch crash. I know Mox did for a long time. And, Sammy moved here. It's one of those things. That's what they had to do. And, so proud of them. And I apologize, people, if you're watching this, I have to get in my car. So,
no problem. No, definitely, I can imagine, and that's insane to think what they did to be able to even be a part of CZW, to think that Sammy, so at one point, it's kind of public knowledge now, was a part of even creative of CZW.
That is correct.
Like he had the whole evolution there. And again, now is a mainstay even with Impact Wrestling and one of the mainstays of independence as well.
Sammy, I think Sammy at one point told me his goal wasn't just to be the best wrestler in the business, it was to run this business.
Yeah.
And you know what? I believe him, because he is the constant hustler. He knows everybody, does everything, and I mean he just makes it work.
Well, definitely does. Let's go into the last matchup here before we forget this last one for Sunday. And it features
these are only matches that are out.
I should say that as well for anyone watching. Matches currently announced as well. Again, you're going to want to go follow CZW to make sure you stay up to date with the full card for Sunday. But this one definitely, it has what we were talking about earlier, and that's storytelling. Because Mike Walker has been basically on he's been with the fight here with CMD. He has gone through it with both the Prince of Canada himself, Deshaun Pratt, with the Nuketown Dragon, Boom Harden, and he thought he had an alliance with Lince Dorado. He thought he had Lince in his corner. He thought, oh, this is someone that's a brother in arms. We're going to fight CMD together. And then we get to the last event, and Lince Dorado shows, if you're from Camden, that's it. You're together.
I think a lot of people, including Mike, probably didn't remember that, he is from Camden. I mean, you've been watching Lince on your TV screen for so long, but I mean, him and Deshaun go back to the backyard. I mean, they have a long-standing relationship. I mean, they're from the same neighborhood. They're the same kind of people. You might think because some people have made some stardom that they change as people. He doesn't really change. And at the end of the day, Mike was a little bit, taken. You see this guy and like, oh wow, this guy that's been all over the world, huge star. He's down, he's partying with me, and yada yada yada. And that event, we had some crazy things go down, unfortunately, that the athletic commission is still punishing me over. But it's CMD has said it many times to Mike that he has no friends, and that match is our main event. And I mean, I expect some truly great things. I mean, Mike Walker is one of those guys that I just see that kid also growing into being a star. He has charisma. He's an athlete. He was a Division II football player for years. He's young, and and he also doesn't. He's not just going to sit there and back down for you. He'll punch you in the mouth. And he probably works about as hard as anybody I've seen. And again, he's just really breaking into the wrestling business. I think he's been in it for a couple of years at best. And he's one of those guys also that comes up every week and communicates and, always, what do I need? He goes the extra mile, make sure that fans get, what they're paying for. And, this event I know is a big deal to him professionally and personally. And, I mean, don't forget CMD, not just Lince, all of them will be at that event.
No, so, definitely. I can imagine they're definitely going to be watching this one and possibly get involved in this one. Who knows? Hopefully,
I mean, they may have a match earlier on in the show. We never know who may show up. I mean, there are things, if you read cryptic things through the bird places we like to call it, through Twitter, you'll see things that comments of people. You just got to sometimes read between the lines. I mean, I can tell fans that if you want to come down, it's an easy drive to Havre de Grace. It's a very historic town, and this venue is beautiful. It's literally right on the water. There's going to be $15 buckets of beer for domestic and 24 imported. That's 5 bottles, by the way. That'll come in a nice little bucket, which is, to be honest with you, a steal right now.
I was gonna say that's a steal right there, just for
Limelight special. Tickets are only $20 for every seat in the house. You can go to the website now and get yours, or they'll definitely take them at the door. We take cash, credit card, Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. It doesn't matter. We can make it work.
There you go.
Oh yeah, we even take Bitcoin nowadays. So it's
hey, got to go with the times. But definitely the link will be description down below, so you can get your tickets. But also follow Go follow CZW, so that way you're staying up to date, and also can get all the links directly from them. There's their Twitter right there, and there is their Instagram, and also links to the Facebook and all that will be in the description down below. But DJ, before I let you go as well, there's one final person I definitely want to bring up when we're talking about everything CZW, and we're talking about all this. We mentioned him a few times here because, again, he's wrestling on Saturday, hoping to now become not only – because he's currently still reigning CZW champion, but he's looking to be NXT champion after the weekend. Let's talk about one guy that, again, we can't talk about CZW and not mention how he's, in a sense, he's bled for Yellow and Black, the black and gold brand here. Talk a little bit about Joe Gacy.
What can I say about Joe? So one of the things a lot of fans probably don't know about Joe is Joe was actually backstage at our last event in New Jersey. He was visiting family, and him and his brother were guests in the locker room. And I mean, Joe is somebody who I dearly love. And I mean, he has all the talent in the world. This is somebody you can see Joe could main event a WrestleMania someday. He really can. Joe is going to take this thing as far as he possibly can. And, Braun Breakers, I mean, I've been in the ring. I trained Joe. I've known Joe for probably 15 years now. I've seen him from when he started backyarding with Lindsay and Deshaun Pratt and Alice Colon and a whole bunch of other guys that all the fans probably know. To the man that he's become now. He has gone through so many different transitions, and it has been a joy and a pleasure to watch Joe. And he's one of the reasons, as well as Trick Williams, because he's another CZW alum, and that I love tuning in on Tuesday nights to check them out and make sure I see what they're doing and following up, because I can't tell you how proud I am of these guys, because I know what they've put in to get where they are. I know the struggles. I've done the drives with them. I've had the arguments with them, and been there through every time. It's like, look, and you're doing this today. Sorry, and seeing Joe go from everything to get where he is to being one of the top guys at NXT. And very soon could be the top guy is definitely an amazing thing. And just like a lot of the guys, from him, Adam Cole's and Kimberly's and Mediums and all the rest, all kinds of people that were pretty much in the same class as him with us. He's going to continue to make us proud. And, I can't wait to see him again, even though I just saw him a few weeks ago.
Oh, definitely. And again, I had to bring him because he was definitely someone that I feel like he was another one when you talk about, even like with the rep as well, that they were CZW. They are what CZW has been and have been those guys that have carried, again, that banner and carried that flag of CZW. And it's definitely great to, again, see that, like you've said this constantly with the podcast, that it's those talents that maybe at the time, hey, they weren't getting those eyes, but years later, now they're the talk of professional wrestling.
Again, a lot of guys, it's a matter of being in the right place at the right time and not just getting, like Joe at times, since I knew him so well personally, like you got to get me to believe and buy in sometimes, because, it's one of those things like, hey, can I, you start going, can I give this guy the ball? Like, can this guy be the guy? And Joe proved to be that guy time and time again.
I like to compare him to Triple H as a person in the wrestling business. He's also very knowledgeable. I mean, I think people would be surprised on how well of a student of the game is. A student of the game he is, I should say.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that, Joe just soaks it up. He just eats, lives, breathes everything wrestling. And I think the only thing that's more important in his life than wrestling is his family. And, I am so happy to watch him get, where he is. And hopefully, someday CZW will be there. And some days a lot of the guys that you're going to see on this card come Sunday are going to be there too.
I'm definitely looking forward to see that. And hopefully, again, seeing it continue to grow and continue to get to even bigger places, because that's always been a great thing to see CZW. But again, DJ, thank you so much for joining us here. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Last question I like to ask everyone, though, is, again, with everything going on, with all that, we've talked about certain goals with CZW, but what is, for you, the end goal for CZW?
That's a good question. That's a good question that I don't have an answer to. So one of the things that I'm trying to do, and this may be some of my new education and stuff, trying to live in the now. And the goal is to always be better tomorrow. And I mean, obviously, anybody knows me, I'm on television. I mean, I want to be on TV.
No.
I still want to do what we do, but I want to be a storyteller. The end game for me is sitting back, watching the guys I get to watch now, watching guys like Adam Cole, watching guys like Drew Gulak, and watching people like Mia Yim, et cetera. And I mean, the list goes on and going. Proud of them guys. They did it. I knew when they came down. I seen them. Watching Trick Williams. I mean, he's got more charisma in his little finger than most people have in a lifetime. And he's athletic. I mean, he's a former NFL football player. It's amazing to watch him go from somebody who really didn't even know who John Cena was, to being on NXT with Carmelo and just delivering week in, week out, great performances, and being a storyteller and taking what he learned and really applying it. He's also somebody who, we still talk. I wish we talked more. And I just realized I am shaking all around driving on this road. Yes, I'm driving and doing a podcast. This is very dangerous and stupid, but don't get hit with bricks or do death matches or have syringes put in your body by Thumbtack Jack. It's a bad idea. Scar you for life. Or let Nick Cage or Necro Butcher or a number of hundreds of other people or get thrown off a balcony in Corrigan Hall. That's a dumb idea, too. Don't do that stuff. Don't go off the top of a cage. Bad idea. Bad idea. Danny Havoc just throwing you left and right. It's Matt Tremont not killing you somehow. But anyway, you have to see these guys. I'm gonna look back. Those are my kids. It's like a proud parent, and if CZW grows into what I think it can, again, we just need the right help, the right people, the right door to open. And every time I say this all the time, every time I feel like we're getting close to touching one of those brass rings, something happens. And it just doesn't happen. And it just goes away, or it's a bad decision or something like, wow, this is going to actually help us hear this. That, it's just going to be once we get that and people really get the opportunity and I build that right team. It's like I said, it's a lot about finding the right people and the people who are going to do the work with you, and
definitely,
and go from there.
All right, there you go. And again, it continues this Sunday. Once again, guys, check it out. Links will be in the descriptions down below. Once again, go follow CZW. Make sure you follow on their Twitter right there at Combat Zone, their Instagram, Combat Zone. Also, make sure you follow DJ as well. Go follow him on Twitter as well. He's constantly giving you the updates with CZW there and as well on their Instagram. So there you go, guys. DJ, thank you again for joining us here. We'll definitely have to do this again because I know there's so much more you would want to touch on and so much more to talk about with the combat.
Love to come on anytime, Ray. And everybody out there, please support him. You know, he's such a good guy. Great to hear on this podcast. He does the right work. Trust me, I've done thousands of these. And you know, support Ray, and thank you guys for listening and supporting CZW and my team and myself. So I hope to see you guys at the shows.
Definitely. Thank you again, DJ. And everyone watching, thank you as always for joining us. And we'll see you guys on the next one. As always, don't forget to be wise, be genuine, be real, be better people, and respect the craft. We'll see you guys on the next one.